Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sulk stream. I am the Incredible Sulk, and I know I look different tonight, and I'm sure you can't quite put your finger on it. But it is so cold. You know, I know I have a lot of autistic listeners and viewers and stuff, and I try to wear the same thing every day because I don't want to like scare them or like intimidate them or you know, put them out of their routine or anything like that. And because they're fragile, and you know, most of you are pretty autistic. Everyone's on the spectrum. If you're born in the late 80s, early 90s and on, you probably got the shots that made you autistic or whatnot, killed you perhaps, and you're watching this from the afterlife. If so, what up? Big shout out to my dead homies. I hope you guys are doing well. My dead homies. I hope the rest of you are doing well. Welcome to the show. Tonight we're going to be doing patent scams. Right? So it should be interesting. It should be fun. Right? How are you guys doing? Good? You guys out there achieving your dreams and making Cult Daddy proud? This is just a flannel, by the way. I can take this off, and then my black shirt is underneath. So it's definitely me. If you don't know by now, it's me. It's John. You guys know me. I'm still the same person. I'm just wearing a flannel because it's freezing in my house, and I can't afford to fix my air conditioner. So because hope you guys are doing well. Hope everyone is out there staying warm and staying cozy and making the best out of life. Who knows how long you have, right? Could be space aliens like this. There was supposed to be a space alien attack today. Didn't see it. Did anybody hear about that? I didn't. I sure didn't. Doesn't matter though. I was a little excited about it, but it didn't happen, right? So whatever. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after. I don't care, right? I just wanted to see some lights in the sky, right? And maybe a UFO would land in my backyard, and then I would make an alien best friend, and I would feed him Reese's Pieces and stuff. Why they didn't go with M&Ms is beyond me, because Reese's Pieces are garbage. But I'm not an alien, so I can't speak to the alien palate. All right, maybe to them it's like the best thing ever. That's neither here nor there. We're doing patent scams, like I said before. And everybody, I'm going to give you a rundown of what that is. So people will file for patents on basically anything they can, and then hold on to those patents in case somewhere down the line somebody inadvertently uses their patent, and then they sue for as much as they possibly can. It's pretty straightforward. It's a pretty straightforward scam, but it's very common, and it's been going on for a long time. So it's just another loophole in the law that people haven't really figured out yet. And there's some you can't patent organic things, right? So this is why natural remedies that are effective in a lot of instances are said not to be effective, and a lot of times just outright banned or outlawed or something like that. That way the pharmaceutical companies can come in with their patented drugs and sell those in place of, like, I don't know, whatever thing that would work otherwise. See, I don't even know the name of a lot of stuff like that. Jess would. She's good at stuff like that. She's got that medicine woman thing going. But yeah, I hope you guys are good. I hope you guys are staying strong, being brave, tackling every day the best you can, staying well measured. That's important, right? Being patient, also important. Just try not to take life too seriously. I know that's tough. Trust me, I do. Right? I lose my temper. I lose my cool. I have my, Life's hard. It just is. But that's probably why we're here. So embrace it. Or do whatever you want. Honestly, it's your life. If you want to suffer through it, be my guest. Be my absolute guest. Anyways, guys, get comfy. Get cozy. This really does sound a lot better with the mixer on, doesn't it? It sounds cleaner and smoother. And you can hear the dulcet tones of the Sulkmeister. That's what I'm going to call myself, the Sulkmeister, right? And I'm going to bang your mom. So hide your moms. Hide your moms from the old Sulkmeister. Yeah. I'm going to cringe myself to death. Anyways, guys, get comfy and cozy and grab a bottle of whatever you want. If you're driving, please keep driving and stay safe. If you're working, do whatever you want. I'm not paying you. So, yeah, you do you. You do you. Yeah. Put on a nice robe. Maybe take a bubble bath. Just relax, right? Take and pee. And get here on time. For God's sakes, get here on time. I'm not turning this stream around. Anyways, guys, I'm the Incredible Sulk. This is the Sulk stream. And this is called The Patent Scam. Enjoy!
The U.S. patent system lets you patent a thing and then sue anyone that does that thing.
Sweet.
But what if you could patent anything?
Okay, let's see who we got. Onias is first. So you're getting good job, Onias. That's like two in a row. Arden Sharon and Pooh Messes. And what's up, man? And Pooh Messes. How you been, man? Good to have you. Started kind of late today, but still on time because I'm not Royce. You know. Arden Sharon says he's naturally retarded. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, it must have happened. So I'm an inventor. I invented the wheel. He's getting patents. Onia says, hide your moms, hide your wives. The sexy cult is in town. The sexist cult. The sexy sexist cult. Sexy sexist sex cult. That's what I'm going to call it. I might need to take this flannel off. Would you guys be upset if I took this flannel off? You would, right? Well, I'm not. It's a clock. Already been patented by Arthur C. Clarke. That's a true story. He invented time with William Time. I knew a guy named Justin Time. And I'm not even kidding you, he shot himself. He shot himself dead. He was a comedian. We were in the same comedian. We went to the same open mics. And he was crazy, and he shot himself in the head, and he died from that. I'm not saying this to be funny, but he did have a funny name. Just in Time. I don't know how I feel about that. This was years ago. Well, I can't find an existing patent, so... He's gotten a patent for... Yeah, he's gotten a patent for a rag to clean your shoes. This is silent films. They came before talkies, they were called. Stop what you are doing. You are violating my patent, pay up, or I'll sue. But I've been shining shoes for years. I don't care, I have the patent, you have to pay. But how much, sir? $340,000. That's quite pricey. That's quite pricey.
I literally could not defend myself. I didn't have the money. So I heard numbers between $400,000 to $500,000 all the way up to $1 million for a defense, which may or may not succeed.
This is a game that big companies play because they know they can outspend you.
I think that they misunderstood the language of their own patent.
So it doesn't matter if you're right. It matters if you have enough money to defend yourself.
I'll run out of money.
That's kind of the system these days. O'Neill says patents, intellectual properties at large are simply granting a sole business control over the supply of a thing or information which can maximize profit without having to fear to attract competition by the economic profit this generates. So in plain English, they are bona fide anti-competitive measures that create market failures and destroy free market capitalism. The free stands for the supply and demand adjusting freely to each other, not for free from rules, as it requires rules like personal freedom and private property to have a market to begin with. That was a mouthful, for sure. Why they grant patents in the first place is to encourage inventors, right? So you go and you patent, like you invent something, and then you go and patent it, right? And then the U.S. government recognizes that you invented it, and then you get sole property over it for, I think it's like 7 years, right? You get to be the only game in town for 7 years, and after that the patent expires, and then everyone gets to use it. This is why you'll have name brand medications, and you'll also have generic medications, and when they go generic, they get significantly cheaper. And then they just slightly change the formula, make a new medicine, and push that one. So it's still basically doing the same thing. It just might have a molecule that has been moved, and then they just keep doing that. And not really inventing anything new. It doesn't really do anything different. It's just a slightly different chemical formula. And that's just for drugs. Right? But you can do that for anything. You could do that for biological life, too. There's been patented living beings that have walked the face of the earth. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't. It seems like you can't patent a living being, but people do make chimeras and stuff and patent them. And they don't have to be like living, walking around pigmen. They can be a multicellular organism that has DNA of a jellyfish and a cow crossbred. And it is a living organism, but it's not really an animal or anything. But they can patent it if they want.
And the problem is if you walk away, they win by what's called default judgment.
Default. It's all consuming. It's all you can think about. There is unknown downside at play. You could lose everything.
Their lawyers actually threw a fit and told us they were going to destroy our business and destroy everything we had worked so hard to build.
It's like being accused of a crime you didn't commit and not having any way to argue that.
So they actually will win and can take your code and can take whatever assets your company has if you decide not to fight anymore.
I assume they made a mistake because nobody can own the patent on a hyperlink. That's just common technology used on the web.
The plaintiff added my name personally to the suit. So by continuing to distribute my app, I could ultimately go to jail. That's what I was afraid of.
You basically are guilty until you're proven innocent.
It consumed me 100%.
So people will do this with code as well, like patent certain types of code. And coding, I mean, everyone copies coding. It's just, I mean, everyone copies coding. If you're coding, you're probably ripping off somebody else's code and using it in your own, and then that's just how code builds, right? So you might have like a little strain of code that you patented back in like the 90s or something like that, that basically everyone has to use, and then you could just go around suing people. Yeah.
Literally zero ideas came out of these patents that were of any
I am chilly, Scott. I am chilly. It's cold in here. It's been cold. It's like 40 degrees outside. What do you want me to do? You want me to rock the black shirt? Do you feel comfortable when, I mean, you know what? You guys are so freaking autistic. Was something on my beard? Maybe not. You guys are autistic, right? And I know I'm just gonna keep getting it. I'm just gonna keep getting it until I take the damn flannel off. So here we go. Here's the flannel. It is off. I'm not even wearing one of my show shirts. These are one of my casual black shirts, right? So, and yeah, that's true. That's a true statement. I just told you. I have specific black shirts simply for shows, right? It's slightly different. It's a little bit deeper of a black, okay? And it's a different cut, right? And it's a different material as well. So, I'm not going to tell you which one it is or like what brand is because that is patented and I will sue you if I catch you wearing one of the patented Sulk shirts, Sulk Stream shirts. Yeah. So here I am, you autistic weirdos. Your savior hath returned. I'm not Jesus, by the way. I'm not going to claim to be Jesus. I don't want to be blasphemous.
Not of your own making. You did not do anything wrong.
My house is
You know.
I have no idea.
You feel better?
who's
Is this lint on my chin?
The lawsuit.
Yes.
That I got dragged into.
The demand letter that says you have 3 days to pay or shut down your business.
That was a very scary moment.
I realized really quickly talking to other
Scott
business
says
owners.
it's 10 degrees here, Wussy. Did you see Daywave today, Scott? Did you see how we had an entire segment about how, like, oh, it's 40 degrees in Florida? You should come up here because it's really cold. This is where real cold is, right? Well, that sucks for you. I'm sorry it's 10 degrees where you live, Scott. Maybe you should move out of Alaska or the Arctic or whatever. I don't give a shit. You shouldn't live there, right? If you can't walk around naked most of the year, you're doing it wrong. Yeah. Yes. What? And yeah, we have mosquitoes and stuff like that, but you build up a tolerance to mosquitoes. I'm just saying. I'm sorry it's 10 degrees there. I am. I'm sorry. But that doesn't mean I'm less cold in my 40-degree weather, okay? I'm here all year round. I'm not a snowbird, right? A lot of people come down from New York, and then they hang out during the winter and stuff like that. I hate them. I hate them with all I have in my soul. But I'm not one of those people. They can handle the cold better because, well, they come here for the cold when it gets wintertime. That's why they're called snowbirds. And they're old. God, they're so old. All of them, they're so old, right? They're old, rich Jews from New York. And it's like, oh my God, how are you so annoying? But I'm sure they're not all bad. I don't give a shit. Moving on. I'm sorry it's 10 degrees where you live, Scott, but maybe that's your fault, right? Maybe you should move out of that. I don't get people who live like up near the Great Lakes where it gets like negative 15 degrees during the winter and it's just like an icy tundra and it's like blowing and they have to smoke inside their houses. That's all they do is just smoke and drink. They have to smoke inside their houses so their walls get all nicotine stained and stuff like that. And that's just how they live their lives. Right? Just getting drunk as shit in like Wisconsin, like just smoking parliaments inside your house with like your like toddler grandkids or something. It's wild. Why would you do that? What is compelling you to keep you there? Family? Your family is gross. Have you seen them? They're pale and chubby and meh. Move. Just move. Move to somewhere that's like, maybe not Florida, but maybe not like Ohio or wherever it is, dude. Come on. You only live one life and you want to do it in like Michigan? Why? Why would you do that? Why would you do that to yourself? It just seems foolish. But whatever. I'm not here to live other people's life.
That this wasn't an isolated case.
People try and extort us.
Oh, I'm a
again,
wuss?
and it's
Am I
my
a
best
wuss?
option.
Fine.
I didn't have any option.
I get to spend my days on the beach and like, you know, people here are attractive. I'm not even like, I come from California and like the people here are like so much better looking just in general. And you wouldn't expect that, right? Because like California, they're supposed to be beautiful people. No. No is the answer to that. No is the answer to that, because California has tons of people, and some of them are attractive, but they are not anywhere near where the rest of California is, right? There's Los Angeles, right? And that's mostly fake anyway. All those women are mostly silicon, and not that I have a problem necessarily with that, but, you know, natural, I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm from Sacramento. People there are fucking ugly. They just are. They're just ugly people. And I was like, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of Ugly Town. And so Jess found me and she brought me out. And now I live here in Florida. And there's iguanas dropping from the trees. It's the weirdest thing.
You have
The
to pay this
weirdest
guy to
thing.
go away. If you don't have the
10 degrees and
resources,
Scott's over here 10 degrees and I'm snacking on a popsicle. Flex. Ooh, you gonna do the Wim Hof? Yeah, you're gonna do the Polar Bear Club? My bicep look good, right? You're distracting me, Scott. You're distracting me from what I have to do, right? You make me flex and then I have to look at my own biceps and I'm like, nice. So eat your popsicle in the snowstorm and making your snowman. Have a blast, bro. Have a blast. I'm gonna go surfing and catch tan.
to defend yourself.
Because why not?
The facts from your side.
Oh,
could
and I'm
potentially
in my
never be heard,
underwear.
And you could lose.
He says, well, now you have to, you're trying to make it sexy. Don't try to make it sexy.
Everything.
It's not sexy, Scott. It's not sexy.
That's the way it is. Technically, what did we do that was so bad that I would say we bought a $200 scanner from Office Depot and put it on our network and plugged it in.
Scam artist. Onia says, as your retarded followers, we can't identify you when you're wearing a disguise. It's a shirt. We only see the darkness of your heart through the blackness of your shirt. I get that. And it's deep down, it's not dark. It's just really covered. It's like chocolate dipped, only that chocolate is sadness. And once you get past that chocolate layer, once you bite into the heart, it's got a warm, gooey, somewhat cynical feeling. But it's still cynical down there, right? But it's nice and it's warm, right? But it's just coated in blackness. It's been toughened up. What can I say?
My name is Austin Meyer, and I'm a computer programmer, aerospace engineer, and pilot. As well, I wrote a computer program called X-Plane. X-Plane is a flight simulator that lets pilots practice flying on their personal computers at home so they can then fly their real airplane. Yeah,
we know what a flight
safely.
sim is.
As well, people that aren't pilots at all.
By the way, Microsoft Flight Sim 11 or something like that is on Game Pass, and you get to fly it's like Google Earth, right? So it's a game, but it's Google Earth, so you can fly over your own house and stuff. It's pretty cool. I played it for 10 seconds maybe.
Enjoy flying X-Plane because they get to enjoy the thrill of flying without all the cost and the risk. About 5 or 6 years ago, I made a special version of X-Plane for the Google Android operating system. Just like any app developer would, I uploaded my app to the Google Store so anybody that wanted to could download it and fly it. They did. Some time went by.
Onia says, John's
and then
full
it
of
happened.
cynical nougat.
I was working at a trade show
word.
in Wisconsin when I got a call from a lawyer. He told me that I was being sued for patent infringement for putting an app on the Google Play Store. Who was suing me? Google? Well, actually not. I was being sued by a company called Unilock. This is a company I'd never even heard of before. Unilock claimed to own a patent that described the idea of looking up a name on a list on a computer. And since the Google Store apparently looks up your name on a list on a computer to see if you paid for the app that you're launching, Unilock claimed to own the idea of how the Google Store works. And because of this, they were suing myself and a lot of other people too, simply for using the Google Store to distribute our apps.
What?
Now, Unilock had nothing to do.
Why wouldn't Google step in and be like, hey, stop suing people for using our service? And why wouldn't you sue Google? Well, you wouldn't sue Google because they're trillionaires. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how much they're actually worth. A lot. And they would have, legal battles are usually, not always, but a lot of times they're battles of attrition. Where it's like, especially if you're going up against a large company and you're like a smaller person, they're going to drag it out as much as possible. So it drains your bank account. You have to keep paying the lawyers until you just cannot go on any further, then you win by default. And this is how a lot of very large companies maintain control of basically everything, right? Because you cannot compete with them, right? Even if you are right, you still don't have the money to fight it. You just don't. And it could take years and sometimes decades to fight a legal battle. And they know that. And that's why they have so many lawyers, right? They have this worked out to a science.
With the creation of the Google Store. Unilock had nothing to do with the creation of Explain. I never even heard of them before. But none of that mattered. They were suing me and many other people.
O'Neill says, remember, game companies are patenting game mechanics, interface features, game modes, etc. Anything you can. Literally, and the digital world is rife with patents all over the place. Because every time something happens, somebody does something new, it gets patented. On September 11th, 2001, some Jewish guy tried to patent the term September 11th, 2001. And I think it was like just after the first plane hit. Right? It was immediate. Like, right? He was like, he had the forms filled out and everything for days at that point. And then he like turned them in like after the first tower and then before the second tower, just so, he would get there in time. Amazing luck. Amazing luck.
Using the Google Play Store to distribute our apps. Now, at this point, the question you should be asking is, what's in the patent? Does the patent really give Unilock the right to sue people for using an online store? Well, here it is. This exactly is the claim in the patent that Unilock said we infringed on. Computer code executable on an electronic device to prevent unauthorized access to electronic data stored on the electronic device. That's it. That's it. These words do not include any source code that could be of any use to any computer programmer at all. These words do not help me or Google or anyone else design or even use the Google Store. These words just say that if someone else goes to the trouble to actually write a computer program that prevents unauthorized access to data, then whoever has this patent can sue them. This isn't an invention. This isn't a new idea. This doesn't contribute one bit of knowledge to the computer industry. It certainly didn't contribute anything to me. It just says that whoever wrote down these words can sue anyone that actually makes, or in my case, uses, an app store. Next, I looked at the lawsuit.
That's some
Unilock
bullshit.
has been damaged as a result of defendants' infringing conduct described in this count. So Unilock claims they've been damaged by my putting an app on the Google Store. Unilock only files lawsuits for a living. How can they be damaged by some guy like me putting a flight simulator on an online store? I tried to figure out how Unilock was damaged by looking at their lawsuit, but they never really seem to specify exactly how they've been hurt. I called a lawyer. I told him to have the case just tossed out because of its obvious absurdity. What the lawyer told me next sobered me. He said that it would take about 3 years of my life and $3 million to defend myself. And at the end of it all, I'd be put on trial in front of a jury in the outskirts of Texas that would decide my punishment for putting an app on the App Store. I live in South Carolina. How could I be put on trial in front of a jury in the outskirts of Texas for committing the sin of using the Google Store to distribute my app? It was at this moment that I realized that I'd entered the most terrifying mess of my life. What I'm about to tell you is shocking, and I'm inviting you to come with me on my journey to uncover the patent scam.
Scott says, I wonder if Mossad actually has any patents here in the U.S. I guarantee it. I guarantee 100%. I mean, most of our patents probably end up in Israel's hands. All of them, right? Because they're all public, except for like top secret patents, right? You can go to the patent office and look up any patent, and there's tons of weird patents, right? That people patent things that aren't even possible to build. But they fill out the patent and they have their little diagram and stuff like that, never planning on actually using it. But they have the patent in case somebody down the line happens to use a very similar idea, maybe in a completely different way, and then they get to sue. So basically, after a certain point in history, you're going to be violating some sort of patent, right? Because everybody is going to have a patent or own a patent on something that you're going to be able to, because you're not going to be able to think of something unique and new. I mean, rarely people do that, if ever. People never really do that, right? Nobody comes up with a new idea. That's just it. Nobody comes. Imagine patenting a joke. And a lot of comedians have jokes and try to say, like, you stole my joke and stuff like that, but that's... Amy Schumer steals jokes, right? But nobody's going to get her on it. Even if they say you stole this joke, it's very clear you stole this joke. It doesn't matter, right? Because there's no patent to it. And that's how it should be. It's just, you can use a joke in a different way, just like you can use an invention in a different way. And it shouldn't make you liable to a lawsuit. But no, we have this patent system for some reason. I'm sure it was important back in like the 1800s and stuff, but I don't know how important it is these days. People just abuse the crap out of it now.
First thing I want to know.
People and large corporations. Large corporations especially.
Who's behind
abuse
all
the patent system.
I hit the net to find out.
Who is Unilock? Controversial patent lawsuits. What does this company do? Unilock patent infringement. A dozen lawsuits filed just last week? Let's check out their website. Members only. Maybe there's something in their source code. Oh, there it is. Patent it, commercialize it, reap the rewards. Who owns this company? The Marathon Patent Group? They're not inventors? They just own patents? And they're traded on the NASDAQ stock exchange?
What's a patent troll? So what is a patent troll anyway? My first trips were to go talk to the experts.
He's this guy that has his own plane, like that, and commutes in his own plane. Like, oh, I need to go to Texas, so I'm going to get in my own plane and fly to Texas, even though it'd be 1,000,000 times cheaper to fly commercial and quicker too, right? Because these planes don't go that far, right? You need to stop at like a few airports before you get anywhere, but they're good for short hops if that's what you want to do.
And find out for myself.
Or if you like flying airplanes, that's cool too.
Patent trolling is the practice of taking patents and using them to sue or threaten to sue others. It's not then taking those proceeds and using it to create the next greatest technology, but it is basically building a business out of suing or threatening to sue.
Scott says, now I'm sad. I thought I was being original with a self-charging piezoelectric butt plug. I've got, dude, I'm going to allow that, right? You get the patent because there's butt plugs, right? And there's glowing butt plugs. But if there's not like a piezoelectric self-charging butt plug, I don't know why you don't just have it charge off the heat of the body. But that wouldn't be the problem. The problem would be like the piezoelectric part would probably be patented, right? It's not the actual item. It's the small inner workings that are usually patented. And then they get sued over that, right? Very common items, right? Just like a piezoelectric disc, which you'd find in like a barbecue lighter or something like that. But yeah, somebody's got the patent on it, I'm sure.
Yeah. Unfortunately, patent trolling has become a lot more common in the last 10 years. Last year, patent trolls sued about 3,600 companies, and there were hundreds of patent trolls active in the federal court system.
Onia says, here's another fun fact. Hospital paperwork, part of it is you giving them ownership of any DNA they acquired through blood, flesh, etc. That is concerning. I didn't want to hear that.
Estimates vary, but they generally come over.
So you're saying hospitals like own my DNA and they can like use that DNA and like sell it? Because selling DNA is information, right? And everybody knows information is widely traded, and you could sell DNA, right? Not like the physical stuff, but like the written down DNA, because there's good information, right? They can ascertain things like what kind of foods you like, or are you more at risk of certain kinds of diseases and stuff, and then they can market to you based on that information. I don't like how I don't like that. I don't know why you had to tell me that, Onias.
For $10 billion a year.
I don't like that at all.
The vast majority of plaintiffs are not inventors. They're people who have purchased patents for nothing from bankruptcy estates of failed.
Newegg. They do computer parts, right? Right? I'm pretty sure I looked on this when I was building my PC years ago. I didn't build this one. This is a pre-built.
Companies, or they've just purchased patents for very, very little, and their sole goal is to make money.
They're not cloning.
It doesn't even matter if
Scott says they're probably growing clones of me. I mean, rad. I oftentimes believe that the world would be a better place with more people like me in it. But then I see like my Twitter feed, and I'm like, maybe that's not the case. But then, it goes back and forth. Sometimes I'm like, oh, there needs to be a lot more of me. And then it's like, oh, there shouldn't even be me. The days, summer, yeah.
Patent actually should never.
Some are one way, some are the other.
The cost of invalidating a patent is so high, of defending yourself in a patent litigation lawsuit is so high, that
I feel bad for Asians with their hair, right? Because it seems very difficult to have Asian hair. Look at this poor fellow right here. Look at the hairstyle he went with. It's like wet, but kind of spiked, but not fully spiked. It just seems like a very difficult hair to have to make it look good, right? So I feel bad for Asians and their hair situation. Especially the women. The women, they can never do like a curl or anything like that. No, it's just going to fall completely straight. And, I mean, that's a look, but what if you want to change it up? Well, you can't. You cannot. Black people, too. Not much you can do with that. I mean, they do a lot with it, though.
Almost everyone ends up having to write a check.
Almost everyone ends up having to write a check. What kind of check are we talking about here? Well, as it turns out...
Scott says doppelganger Sulk's running around. Right? That'd be cool. Bunch of black shirts.
average settlement that a person has to pay to a patent
That'd be
troll
cool.
to make the lawsuit against them stop is $340,000. That's right, the average person is forced to pay the patent troll $340,000 just to end the lawsuit because they don't have the $3 million to defend themselves. When I tell people about my lawsuit, they always say the same thing. They say, hey, Austin, if Unilock says the Google store infringes on their patent, why don't they just sue Google? Oh, let's think about that for a moment. If they sued Google, I think Google has $3 million. Google can defend itself and probably, over years, win. But if Unilock sues as many people as possible that use Google, then think of how many people they can sue that don't have the $3 million to defend themselves. Those companies will be forced to settle, even if they've done nothing wrong. And once it became how obvious it is to make easy money by filing these patent infringement lawsuits people can't defend themselves against, you can pretty much figure out what happened next.
This guy's a
like
goober.
Unilock were formed. Companies that exist only to file lawsuits. Now, here's just how far it can go. Unilock, the company suing me, is owned by a much larger company called the Marathon Patent Group. The Marathon Patent Group does not make anything. They don't invent anything. They just sue the companies that do. And the Marathon Patent Group is traded on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange. That's right. The NASDAQ Stock Exchange was designed to foster innovation. And now the NASDAQ hosts the Marathon Patent Group, a company whose only function is to sue. And it's all based on holding a patent. So, are these patents brilliant? Well, let's take a look at some. These are real patents.
Method of video gaming over the internet. Method for voice communication with an entity such as a plant.
I'm sorry, what? What was that? A method for talking to plants? I have to look that up, right? Because there's no way that works. There's no way that works. Does that work? Is there a way to talk to plants that I have not been doing? You don't think that they should sell patents or IPs either? Yeah, well, I mean, didn't Mickey Mouse just become public? Didn't he? Because for intellectual properties, it's different, right? It's 100 years, right? For an intellectual property like Mickey Mouse or something like that, they have to do it for a century. And I think Mickey Mouse just ran out. So I don't know if they did something to reinstate that intellectual property, like, or what. But I heard that. And I haven't seen a bunch of knockoff Mickey stuff. I mean, I have everywhere, all the time, but not like close enough to be. They're legally distinct. Here we go.
Animal ear protectors. Forehead support for a urinal.
Oh, whoa. That's actually a good idea. Right? Because if you're like hammer drunk, right, and you go to the urinal, you have to put your hand up and then like you do this. Here's the thing, I wouldn't want to rest my head on it because I know people are like licking it and stuff, especially in the men's room. In the women's room, it wouldn't be a problem, but they don't have urinals. But in the men's room, it's like the Wild West, right? It's not like the women's room. The women's room is nice. And this is why we don't want like MTF, the trans going in there because it's just not your place, man. You're a dude and it doesn't matter if you put on a dress. It's not your place, right? It's just not your place. The men's room is gross and it shall remain gross forever. And that's just a part of a man's life that we have to deal with, right? And it's not a problem. We don't make friends in the bathroom like women do. Like women will go to the bathroom and make best friends for life in the bathroom of just some random place. And if you talk to another dude in the bathroom, that's weird. That's gay. Don't do that. That's gay.
A hose to
Don't do
breathe
that.
from a toilet bowl. A reality alternate method. A domestic animal telephone. Method to search for event photos on the internet. Self-hair cutting apparatus.
Whoa. Okay. I imagine that only gives you a bowl cut. That's a bowl cut. That's specifically bowl cut.
An anti-eating face mask.
A dirt eater mask. And that has been around for centuries. The slaves used to wear dirt eater masks because they ate dirt. That's a very real thing. They ate dirt. It's called pica. Women get it especially when they're pregnant, but slaves used to eat a lot of dirt, and they didn't want the slaves to get sick from eating dirt, so they gave them dirt eater masks. And I guess they don't eat dirt these days.
Method of swinging
But maybe they
sideways
do.
on a swing.
Oh, yes, they do. Yeah, they do, because they eat those dirt cookies in Haiti, right? We watched a thing on those. They make dirt cookies out of mud, right? And they just let them dry, and it's just mud. It's a mud cookie. They'll let it dry in the sun, and they sell it for like a penny each. And then the little kids are like, dirt. I'm starving. I'm starving. You're eating dirt. You're eating a mud cake. And that's it. That's it. Maybe there's a little salt in there, but that's it, bro. It's just dirt. Just dirt. Why are you eating just dirt? There's got to be other things besides dirt around. You're just eating a mud cake like a toddler would make. Like a very young child would make like a cake out of mud. He wouldn't eat it. It would be for fun, playtime. But no, y'all are eating it and like loving on it too. It's wild. Haiti is a crazy, crazy place. No wonder God does not like Haiti.
Self-defense weapon key holder. Apparatus to simulate a high five.
Sweet.
Dog
That's
nose
actually sweet.
art apparatus.
Huh? What, a dog fart apparatus?
For use while operating a motor.
This seems dangerous. I don't know if you see that. It's an apron that goes to the wheel when you're eating and drinking in the car. That seems dangerous.
Vehicle. A buttocks kicking apparatus. A stick that a dog can fetch.
A stick? Okay.
This all seemed just
mud pies
too
in Africa
crazy for
too,
me to
huh?
actually
Yes?
believe. I had to talk to someone who was experienced in this. I found a guy by the name of Kevin O'Connor. Kevin's developed and sold companies worth billions of.
Art and Shire says, I think IP is 70 years. Okay, 70 years. I believe you. Fuck it, make everything open source by law, see what comes out of it. Yeah, these days, I don't think that would be a problem, right? Back in the early times, before the internet, I think there was something to be said about patents and patent laws and stuff like that. But these days, it doesn't really matter because everything is going to infringe on some sort of patent. And this guy didn't even infringe on a patent. He used the Google store. And the Google store is infringing on a patent. But him using the Google store was somehow him infringing on the patent. So maybe we just need to change patent law in general. Maybe not get rid of patents as an idea altogether, but like really loosen it up. Really, really loosen it up.
Dollars. And he was also being sued by a patent troll. So he knew his way around the block.
Background noise says, dirt eaters, I only eat the finest of clays. And it seemed like a clay that they were making in Haiti. It was a specific kind of dirt. It wasn't just any old dirt. It was smooth. It was very smooth. It was a type of, it was still dirt, right? There was no nutritional value whatsoever in it. But it's not like you could just go out and get dirt. It's a specific type of dirt.
Kevin was sued simply for making a website that scans large numbers of products and then shows you the one that's best for your needs. So, Kevin, I'm being sued for patent infringement.
That's too bad.
It is not fun. let's hear your story.
So in summer 2013, we get this letter from a law firm, and it says we're violating their patent. And they claim to have the patent that facilitates bilateral and multilateral decision making. It's been around since caveman days. It's baffling how anyone could have a patent on that.
Hey,
It's
Boston.
basically decision making, dating all the way back
I gotta
to probably
sneeze.
Neanderthal days. People deciding whether to trade chickens for cows. I mean, it's basically how humans interact or communities interact with each other. They had the patent on it.
Okay, so
Okay.
you got the letter. What did the letter say?
The letter basically said they got this. It's called the demand letter. They said that they've got this patent. They believe we're infringing in it. We can settle now, or we can go through prolonged discovery. We're going to have motions in the court. You're going to have to incur lawyer fees. You know, the more this goes on, the more expensive it's going to become for you.
Once you got this lawsuit, what'd you do?
I mean, the first thing you do is you research the hell out of it. You're trying to figure out, you know, one, is this a valid patent? Who's behind it? Who else have they sued?
And it's a waste of time, right?
We did a lot of research.
Because if you're getting sued, you're going to be like, why are you getting sued? And then you spend all this time, and then finally you're just like, okay, I'm literally getting sued for nothing, and it's legal, and I have to pay millions of dollars to defend myself against it, and no. Yeah, so it's a problem, right? They're getting sued for literally nothing.
Picked on the wrong company. You know, we have one of the largest knowledge graphs in the world. So we did a lot of research on who is behind this. Who are these lawyers? Who are these inventors of this patent? And we found a pattern. We found a very disturbing pattern.
Background noises aren't the best inventions a product of stealing other people's ideas. I said this before. There's no new ideas. There's like really, like the transistor in your computer, and there's like millions of them and billions of them in your computer. The idea for that has been around for centuries, right? Centuries. It used to have mechanical transistors. It used to have tubes too. But like anything that you could think of has been thought of before at some point in time. Maybe not like used practically. They didn't have that technology to like. Leonardo da Vinci technically invented the helicopter, right? He was the first guy to like jot down what a helicopter would look like. And it wasn't until the 40s when the Nazis actually built one. So yeah, nothing's new, man. Nothing is new. All inventions, all ideas, all jokes, all stories are an amalgamation of different people's ideas. And it shouldn't be considered stealing or anything like that. There's this, I mean, we all know what fair use is, right? Fair use is, you know, using something like this and then commenting on it or doing some sort of critique of it. And that's fair use. You get to use their intellectual property to make your intellectual property. And that's fine, right? I don't know if they have a similar system for patents, though. I would guess they don't. I'm not a lawyer in any aspect, but I mean, I would just guess they don't.
It was basically, there's these two people. We believe they met in Harvard Business School, Eileen Shapiro and Stephen Matz, that had, they were not technologists, but somehow mysteriously they had I think it was maybe 10 technology patents. You never know who's behind these shell companies. In our case, it was LumenView Technology, not sure who's behind it, but there was a series of these shell companies that were prosecuting these portfolio patents. And they were very, very aggressive. Once we learned all that, I was pissed.
O'Neill says it's like women making false accusations. If you lie, you should get the punishment of the person they falsely accused. Should do the same with patent trolls. Well, yeah, obviously they don't do that with women, right? Because women aren't at fault for their actions at all. Ever in history. So that's not ever going to happen. Ever.
Was so pissed. I knew we didn't infringe.
Ever.
I knew we could win. It really just came down to money.
How many dollars have you put into this so far?
We got $350,000 to $400,000 invested in this.
And 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And it's still not over?
No. No, it won't be over for, I don't know how long, another year, year and a half.
How much more money are you going to spend?
Well, I committed $1 million, so I'll keep fighting it.
All right, so I'm being sued by patent troll right now for using the Google Play Store. I've been in this now for about 4 years, and there's no end in sight. What do I do?
I get asked this question a lot. Are you rich? So I guess the big question is, can you afford the pain? So your lawsuit is a particularly absurd case, which is you're being prosecuted not for developing technology in violation, you're simply using someone else's technology. As consumers or businesses, we use thousands of technology products that could at any moment be in violation of thousands of different patents. I mean, anyone is at risk. And what kind of legal system is when anyone could be guilty of patent infringement at any given time and their lives destroyed? I mean, really? Is this the kind of society that we want to live in? This is just terrible. This is a travesty.
Well, that's what we're doing.
So what do I do?
I tell most people, I mean, you're a little deep into it. I tell most people to settle. It's not worth it.
Why should I settle when I know it's the wrong thing to do?
You see, guys, eye
the guy that
twitching.
owns the liquor store, why he pays $100 for protection and not take a bullet in the head, right? I mean, the right move is to take a bullet in the head, stand up to the extorter. Smart move is pay $100, get the protection. I've thought a lot about this problem, just trying to figure out, like, how do you pull people together to go after them? You know, how do you build some kind of deterrence system? It's complicated. Fighting one off, I'm not sure that's the solution.
Fighting one off isn't the solution, and settling involves...
Here's what you do. You got to stake them out and then sue them back because they must be using some sort of... Oh, but then you would have to own the patent, right? So you find the guy who owns the patent and then team up with him and then go back and then sue them for using their patent, and then everyone has to sue each other because everyone's got a patent, and then the only people that make any money are going to be the lawyers, right? And that's the problem. This is the problem right here. It's not the patent system. It's not the patents or anything like. It's the lawyers 100% of the time. It's always the lawyers because they're always the ones that make the most money out of it. So, of course, they're going to sue. Right? Especially when they can sue so freely. They can sue anybody, and anybody's going to pay up $250,000 just so they don't have to go through a gigantic thing. Yeah, it's the lawyers, man. That's the problem. We need to get rid of the lawyers. All of them.
Encouraging them to do it again. What's left?
I've gotten to learn the way they legally operate and set up money and go after people. It's a very asymmetrical fight. It's kind of like terrorism, where they can come in. It costs them $400 to file a lawsuit against me. It cost me $2 million to go call their bluff. No one calls their bluff. Very few people ever call their bluff. So it's a brilliant strategy. And for them, no downside whatsoever.
Patent trolls are always lawyers. Yeah, of course. And yeah, they're always lawyers because lawyers are always looking for lawsuits, and that's what lawyers do. Ambulance chasers and stuff like that. Yeah, lawyers are a problem. I mean, they're not really beneficial to society as far as I've seen. Yeah, as far as I've seen, I don't think I've seen a lawyer that really has made a positive impact on society in any sort of way. If I'm wrong, please correct me, but it's just not something they do. What they do is they slow down. They're bureaucrats, right? They slow down the problem. They try to look for issues and weaknesses in processes and exploit it, right? For monetary gain. So they're not really helping anything. They're, in fact, a huge hindrance. But that's just lawyers. I mean, without lawyers, you wouldn't need lawyers. That's the saying, right?
For me, it's nothing but downside. I think a lot of these patent trolls are sociopaths. They know the damage and the carnage they create in society. They just don't give a shit. They don't care. It's the almighty dollar. It gives greed a bad name.
Turd Flinging Monkey says Einstein worked at a patent office, probably stole tons of stuff. That's a very interesting theory because he worked at a patent office where there was a lot of physicists in the area that were creating a lot of work, and they were going through that patent office. And Einstein had basically 1 year that he came out with, it was his miracle year, where he came out with like 4 groundbreaking papers. And after that, he didn't really come out with too much more. So circumstantially, Einstein might have plagiarized his best work. Might have. But there's no way of proving it. There's just no way of proving it. So that it just stops right there. There's no way to prove it.
An idea is not private property. You can't own an idea. It's not possible. You can't own a concept. Look, I've been inventing for 40 years. My belief, ideas are cheap. Turning a good idea into a successful product and company, that's really, really hard. What the patent office has done is completely put everything on its head. They're putting all the value in the idea, and they're making it.
He's like one of the cool CEOs, right? And they have like a ping pong table in their office, and he's like, hey, I'm just casual Dan. I don't know what his name is. I'm casual. And if you guys just want to hang out, and we'll do some groundbreaking work and stuff, and probably has tons of money.
Extremely expensive for people like us that are trying to improve the world by actually creating products and services that benefit others.
So that's Kevin's story. And I'm starting to see the tip of the iceberg in this ongoing national disaster. The lawsuit against me has been dragging on for about 4 years now, and there's no end to it in sight. I've watched my daughter grow up from age 1 to age 5, always under the threat that I'd have to turn over my savings for her future to a lawyer that's suing me for using the Google store. This has cost me time that I will never get back. But am I the only one in this wretched situation?
Free use his wife after work. You know, the cool
Coming
boss.
out of college,
I hope he's not that cool.
to be
I hope it's not some pervert office, right? Where, you know, they run a train on this guy's wife after, you know, everyone clocks out. No, you have to stay clocked in.
Programmer. I knew that I wanted to create applications that people enjoy, people wanted to use every single day.
So the idea for Ditto really came from watching thousands of people try to buy glasses in the real world, and we realized they were really struggling. You know, that's really what kind of made this exciting. Like, we felt like we were really solving a consumer problem.
Well, I started it in my basement in 1997 with 2 other people.
It was basically just, I wanted to stop annoying my friends sending them emails all the time, so I thought, you know, I'll just put all this on a website and they can come check it out when they want to.
Okay, time out. Just wait 1 second here.
That's the same
This guy
thing.
is Drew Curtis, and he runs a website called Fark.com. He was sued for posting news at his website. Okay, now I'm going to reach the patent. Writing 3 key messages. Purpose. Answer the question, why should I be interested in this? Guidelines. 2 to 3 statements that support the headline and entice the reader. For example, answer the question, why is this news? Present facts or statistics or other evidence to show why your story is important or interesting. The statements don't necessarily have to relate to each other, but must support the headline. 30 to 40 words in total per highlight. That's it. That's the patent. That's the patent that the patent troll used to sue Drew Curtis for posting news at a website.
So, who at the patent office looked this over and was like, yeah, okay, why not? I guess it's lawyers again. That's what it is. It's lawyers, right? Just filing for patents, as many patents as possible. Big corporations like Amazon and Google have thousands, millions maybe of patents, right? They invented some. I'm sure they bought others, right? They just have tons of them, and they keep them just in case they want to do something like this. So this is a big problem. This is a big ass problem.
All right, sorry for the interruption. Back to the movie.
And so I kind of flipped over a napkin and started drawing it out. It was just an exchange of economics for power. The day my brother got back from Afghanistan was the day that we actually went live. And we sold out. We sold out. We did this at a nightclub here in Chicago. And it sold out in about 17 minutes.
We had a lot of fun. My wife and I worked hand in hand, and we were the first photographers in the events. We've gone to lots of great places. We photographed lots of great people, captured memories for them. Running my own business definitely made me happy. It was something that I always wanted to do, and just having the ability to be creative and share your creativity with the world.
He's a weird-looking guy, isn't he? Is he weird-looking to you? Does he look weird? He kind of looks elfish.
Thing that I think everybody wants to do.
Eventually, one of my apps, White Noise, became extremely popular. It even became the #1 app on iTunes. And
White Noise? Okay. Is that literally a white noise app where you just put it on and you hear white noise? Because I bet that's exactly what it is.
that's when I was able to focus on my startup full time.
I was able to watch folks who came in as interns from college grow into senior managers in the organization. It was almost like getting to, be a parent or at least an uncle.
We're a family here, right? At our soulless corporation where you make me money, we're a family. But I'll fire you, son, right? I will get rid of you immediately in a heartbeat if somebody comes by who can do your job roughly the same for even 1% less. That's a family. That's such bullshit. I hate it when people say this company's like a family. It's not a family. It's definitely not a family. Most of you hate each other. And yeah, that is most families. But it's not a family because you can't just get rid of like one of your siblings and replace them with like a younger, hotter sibling. Does that work? No, it doesn't. That doesn't work. I'll look into that, but I'm pretty sure that's not how it
Been
works.
the best thing ever.
When you're building
I'm like
something, and the
90%
first
sure.
customers say like, "Wow, that really helped us."
I'm going to get a patent on that idea, right? Sibling replacement, where you get, that's what I'm going to do. And then if somebody wants it, I'm going to sue the living daylights out of them, right? And then they have to keep their ugly sister, and, then they're bummed.
There's no greater feeling.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks to be you.
It was December 31st, 2013, and I was with my family ringing in the new year, not knowing what lied ahead of us. And we had champagne glasses in our hand, and at 12:04 a.m., my email lit up on my phone from a patent attorney.
Okay, sued for providing event photographs via a computer network. So, an email? Is that provide or just posting them on a website? See, the thing is, the law is slow. The law is slow and methodical, and everything is like dotted. They dot their I's and they make sure all the paperwork's done and stuff like that. This is a process that's been going on for hundreds of years, right? The legal system has not just appeared. It's been in the works since at least the 1700s, right? But with current technology, that system cannot keep up. But it's still the system we use. And so we're coming out with like new inventions every single day. And since the legal system is so slow, people are taking advantage of that and suing people like this because they know that it's so slow that these young upstarts wouldn't possibly be able to afford a long, drawn-out 5-year, 10-year lawsuit. So, yeah, the legal system itself is a problem. It needs to be completely retooled. This is why Amazon can't get their drone delivery off the ground, not because they don't necessarily have the technology, it's because they can't get past the legal issues, right? There's nothing in the law that can like encompass this properly and have it be useful without getting sued to death, or there's just not a good basis for it, right? So they're working out the legal side. The technology side is we're pretty much there, right? We can handle it. But it's all the legal logistics that are the problem. And so they've been working on that for like 10 years now, at least 10 years. And it doesn't seem like it's getting any further, right? It's still going to be a while. The same thing with like robot cars and stuff. If a robot car kills somebody, who do you sue? Right? That's usually the question is, who do you sue? Maybe you should just not sue anybody and live life at your own risk, right? This is why I hate the TSA. I hate the TSA, and I'm not the only person in the world that hates the TSA. Everybody hates the fucking TSA. The TSA is garbage. It's like the DMV for the airport. Why can't they just have a sign that says fly at your own risk? Right? Wouldn't that be a million times easier? And then you can't sue because the sign is right there. The sign is right there, right? And if I don't want to die, then I just don't go on a plane, right? I would rather that than have to take my fucking shoes off every single time I go through the airport and then get scanned and like get radioactive from that thing, and then they see my wiener all tucked right in my up, because they see you naked. They see them all naked. Completely naked. And because the line goes past the monitor. So everybody in that line gets to see everyone who goes through that completely butt-ass naked. How is that not like some sort of violation of privacy, of like, privacy? Nope. It's for national security. And that means nobody has any rights anymore. Fuck that. Fuck that noise. That's fucking stupid. They do get to tell us what to do, but they shouldn't get to do that. Again, and it's because laws. When the Constitution was written, they didn't know airplanes were going to be a thing, right? So they're not like, they just had no idea. So I guess my point is that technology is moving too fast for the legal system, the legal apparatus we have built up, not only in the U.S., but in the rest of the world, just to keep up, right? And it's severely hindering our technology across the board, all of it. And when you hinder technology to that point, you hinder the economy. That's just, they go hand in hand. So what do? You have to get rid of the entire legal system. We need to retool it, rehaul it completely, right? We'll keep the Constitution, of course. But all these little laws and tax law, there's like thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of tax law. Does it really need to be all that tax law? No, there really doesn't. But those laws are written by lawyers to help large corporations dodge taxes. So there they are. The entire system is corrupt. From the core, it is corrupt. And it's not our fault. We're just here now. We were born into a system that was broken and is being propped up by fake money that we have to work our asses off to help keep it propped up if we want to feed ourselves, which is, again, fucking stupid. I don't like this system. Why do I have to contribute to it just to survive? Oh, to keep older people who did not contribute to it, the boomers, rich and happy and fat. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to. You had a party. Great. I don't want to pay for it. You know? I don't want to fucking pay for your party. I don't want to use my life just because you had such an awesome life. You got to buy 2 houses at the age of 30. And like, I have to work at a Denny's my entire life so you can buy a 3rd house? Fuck you. No.
Saying, I see you've been sued for patent infringement. Maybe I could represent you.
All of a sudden on 9/11 in 2013, I receive a demand letter.
9/11, huh? A
The
drum
demand letter
set
basically
tuner.
stated that I infringed upon a patent, and it didn't tell me how or it didn't tell me why.
Scott loves my boomer rants. Scott loves my boomer rants. And they come. Oh, I got a lot of them. And that's most of this channel. There's a lot of conspiracy stuff. There's a lot of boomer rants. There's just a lot of me just venting. That's just what I do. I just vent.
It just says, we believe that you infringed upon this patent.
Hit the
and
like
if you
button.
Do not cease and desist.
Now.
We're going to sue you.
In
hit the like
February
button.
of 2012.
Turd Funny Monkey says, don't be jelly even if they don't deserve it. Why not? Why not? Why the fuck not? Why wouldn't I be jealous? They got to live in a time where, like, there was smoking hot chicks running around everywhere that outnumbered men, and then you could, like, work a summer job and afford a house, and, like, you know, getting a job was, like, not even hard, right? You walk in out of anywhere, you get a job, and then you stay at that job for 50 years, and then you could retire, and then, maybe not 50 years, 30 years, and then retire for the rest of your life. And then it wouldn't be a hard job. You'd make 6 figures working a forklift or something. And then you buy a house for $10,000 and then sell it for like $2 million, 30 years later. Why not? Why not? They got to have not quite sound money, but it was a lot closer to sound money. And therefore, people weren't slaves yet. They decided, instead of making the world a better place for their children, they were going to make themselves rich and enslave the next generation. So it's okay for me to be a little bitter. Jealous, fine. But bitter mostly.
And
bitter
I
mostly.
remember it very clearly. A letter came in the mail saying, Dear Dr. Vichinanza, we understand that you have certain technologies, in particular network-based scanners.
I'm not jealous of rich people. I'm talking about boomers, right? Rich people are, I don't think it's like very good to be mega super ultra wealthy. You can be rich, right? But like there's a point of rich where you just can't possibly spend all the money you have, and then you just start hoarding it like a dragon. I don't think that's right to do, and I'm not jealous of those people in the least bit. Really, they actually live a very sad existence, because they're just miserly, right? They just sit in their big giant mansions on top of a hill, and they're alone, and their kids don't visit or call or anything like that, and then they're just alone. And yeah, they can afford nice things like lattes and stuff, but a big house is still empty, right? You can have a small house that's empty, but you can have a big house and that bitch is still empty. I'm not jealous of rich people. I actually kind of pity them. And it's not the money, right? It's the type of person that has spent their entire life accruing wealth instead of life experiences, right? Because there they are at the end of their life, about to face the reaper. And they have a big number in their bank account, sure, but like, what memories do they have? They look back and be like, oh, I remember that night I was working late, or, oh, I remember this other night I was working late. And, I remember on the Millennium, I was working late. And, I fucked my whole life up. Right? And now my kids don't talk to me, and no one likes me because I am constantly suspicious that people are out to get me because of my money and stuff like that. It causes psychological problems, right? And being a human being is about being in a community. And when you're at the top, the tippy top like that, you don't have a community. You just don't. You can be king all you want, but the king is one position. And sure, people will treat you nice, but that doesn't mean they want to. They want to have your money, and they don't like you. They don't like you as a person. And it's not a real friend unless they like you as a person. They're not really a friend until you stop paying them, you know? And so, yeah, there's no money in heaven. Everybody in heaven is broke. That's a fact.
That we feel
Maybe not God. I'm sure he has
infringe
money.
on our proprietary patent, and therefore we suggest that you call us so you can arrange to get a license to use your equipment.
Yeah, we'd been in business for about 10 years when I got hit by a patent troll lawsuit in 2011, out of nowhere.
Gooseberry.
So it was somebody who's claiming that FARC and Reddit and AOL and 6 other companies were infringing on a patent of theirs. Essentially, it involved emailing press releases to people.
I got a curious phone call from an attorney. That claimed that I was infringing.
Third Finger Monkey says we could argue that the generation from 1920, which would be the silent generation, that allowed foreign people with tiny hats to take over our banking system. So that happens. So 1913 is when the Federal Reserve was instituted, the whole Jekyll Island thing. So, but it was long before that, right? I don't think it was 1913. The banking system was controlled by them forever. I mean, a long time, right? Before it was like controlled by kings and stuff, and they would usually kick out those people, but we didn't have that system. I don't exactly blame the silent generation for that. It's not really their fault.
On their patent.
It was a lot of jargon and nonsense, and then a bunch of claims. And one of the claims was if you scan a document to an email, that's...
Obedient to us says easier to pass a camel through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get to heaven. The Bible. Well, Jesus said that. Yeah, in the Bible. Yeah, Jesus said that. Because yeah, you rely too much on your money. Your money becomes your savior, and Jesus is supposed to be your savior, not money. You know, you're supposed to have faith in Jesus and not have faith in your money. And then people over rely on it, and it, you know, it's inanimate. It's a tool. It doesn't really do anything. It's the people that do things, and they do it for money. So, yeah, he was right on the money. Jesus was right on the money when he said that. No pun intended, but yeah, of course Jesus is right about things.
Protected under this patent.
It makes sense, right?
What the patent said we were doing wrong was taking a document, putting it on a scanner, and pressing a button, and having that scanned to an email.
The demand letter said nothing about what we were infringing on. Nothing about what we were doing wrong or what they were even trying to claim against us.
So this is usually what you get. This is a demand letter. And it usually comes with a lot of paperwork. These are, 4 patents here. And they basically say, you're violating something here. 1 or more of our patents you're violating. A lot of times they don't even tell you. In my case, they actually illustrated where they think I'm infringing on their patent, and it's right here. When you click this button, it opens Apple's App Store. And that's it. That's all it is. A button that goes out to the internet and opens up iTunes. And that's $1 million lawsuit? Really? It says right there, storing results of a two-way interaction to a central location. That sounds like using the internet.
Storing results of a two-way interaction in a central... What? What? How do they patent this?
Later, I discovered I was not alone. and that many other small businesses have been targeted and sent these demand letters. And they all say pretty much the same thing. They reference a few patents, and then they claim they want to get a licensing fee from you. If you don't pay them a licensing fee, they're going to take you to court.
Okay, so you've seen some pretty absurd lawsuits here. But now, it's time for the mother of them all. Unilock, the company that's currently suing me, was also suing a company called Rackspace for selling Linux computers. Unilock's excuse for the lawsuit? That Unilock held a patent that described rounding numbers when doing math. This because Rackspace's Linux computers rounded numbers when doing math. When someone is sued for doing math, I pretty much want to talk to them.
We've been accused of running Linux.
Okay. Making, using, offering for sale, importing servers running Linux.
Because the Linux kernel does math, it rounds up or rounds down. They said we violated their patent. You know what happens when you have a phone and it rotates like that? We've been accused of having a free mobile app that rotates on your phone. We have an accusation right now that we send email. We have been accused of selling cloud computing services. They said, if you charge somebody money for providing a computing service, that violates our patent.
So you may notice that Unilock's lawsuit against Rackspace was for selling Linux computers. Why Linux? Think about it, and the answer becomes clear. If they were to sue Rackspace for running out time on Apple or Microsoft operating systems for rounding numbers, any jury would just laugh it right out of court. But when they choose Linux, that's an operating system that most jurors just don't know much about. Turns out, Linux rounds numbers just like Apple and just like Microsoft. All the operating systems work on the same computers. But by choosing Linux, Unilock introduces just enough doubt to stand a chance of succeeding. And it's that.
Does anybody run Linux? Does it? I think what my brother tried to run Linux on his computer like years ago, like back in the 90s or something like that. Does anybody run Linux? Is there anybody autistic enough to run Linux? Right? I won't touch Linux because I'm just not, I don't have time to sit here and like do that, right? Adjust everything. And I use Windows. I've always used Windows. I don't even use like Mac OS. I have no idea how to use Mac. Even though like back in elementary school, we learned on Macs. No idea. Does anybody use Linux? Obedient, do you use Linux? You seem like the type.
Doubt
I don't know why.
The entire lawsuit.
They don't really care that their interpretation is ridiculous on the face of it.
And the trolls don't even care how nonsensical or irrelevant their patent is.
The thing about these user suits is that we're all now users of technology. So that's why you see folks who are angry about patent trolls, not only including tech companies, but retailers, your mom and pop store down the street. If you have a scanner in your
Boston
house,
says, I use Linux PC and phone. Do you like it? Do you like running Linux? Is it user-friendly enough? I know it's not like meant to, like, if you're running Linux, you're like, I don't know, you're into it, right? You're not like, oh, I just run Linux. It's not. No, you're like, I run Linux, everybody. I'm going to make sure everybody knows I run Linux so everybody knows I'm that kind of person. I'm autistic enough and like tech savvy enough to run Linux. I've never ran it. And I really don't have an interest in it. I don't see why people do run it. I'm sure there's benefits. I'm positive, but I don't know what they are.
house, do you? Do you have Wi-Fi in your house?
Absolutely.
Do you have a smartphone in your pocket?
Of course.
Okay, so those things make you a target for a patent lawsuit because you are using the technologies which are at stake.
Can I patent the N-word? Like the N-word. Not I'm on YouTube. But can I patent the N-word? Is that possible? Can I do that? Because, boy, I'd be making some money. Can I patent just general words? Can I make a new word? and then patent it, because I do that all the time. I make new words all the time, and sometimes they have meaning. A lot of times they don't, but I don't care. I'm using it anyway. And then now we all say bussin'.
But historically,
yeah, I coined that.
Don't go after users
back
they
in the
don't want to sue their
70s.
customers. The thing
Can
about
you believe
patent
that?
trolls is they don't
It's a
have
wild
customers.
story.
So they can go after folks without worrying about their reputation in the marketplace.
When I received the demand letter, most
I know
of the
Linux is
screenshots
open
were
source.
of Apple's App Store.
Well, I know Linux is open source, and open source technologies are great because you get to look at all the code. You can change it if you want. You basically own it, but ownership is weird these days. Because do you own Windows? You don't own Windows. You can't change Windows. There's terms of service and stuff like that. They want you to rent everything. They don't want you to own anything. You're not allowed to change your own product the way you see fit. With Linux, you can do that.
I'm an end user of that technology. I didn't invent that technology. I'm just using that technology. But they're claiming that end users are violating their patents, even though Apple has a licensed patent, even though Apple says their developers are not infringing.
Boston Buckaroo says Pop OS is great for PC experience with more security and no Google Microsoft surveillance. Yeah, I don't like their surveillance. I don't like that. But I'm not interested enough. Oh, fuck, I shouldn't even say. I hate tech security and stuff, but it's an integral part of life these days. You need to run VPNs. You need to do 2FA and stuff. And I completely understand that, and it just sucks that there's so many shitty people out there that are trying to hack your system. But there's a lot of very valuable information on your system, so you have to protect it. And it's just part of it. It's just part of the deal. That's why John McAfee got so rich, because he made an antivirus software and then went crazy and did cocaine in Costa Rica with hookers. I'm not judging John McAfee. He's a great individual. He was a great man. Maybe is. He might still be alive. John McAfee might still be alive. We don't know. That wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if he's dead. But it wouldn't surprise me if he's alive either. Because he's just fucking John McAfee. He's crazy. He's the craziest of crazies. And he was a billionaire when he was 25 or something. Insane.
It doesn't matter to the patent troll.
It doesn't matter.
If they can pin that interpretation in any such way, then they force you to respond, because their point is not to win. Their point is to make you spend money. If they can make it more expensive for you to prove that you're right than it is for you to pay them off, then 99 out of 100 people will just pay them off.
Boston says there was a time when you got Microsoft Suite when you purchased OC for forever, and you could customize your desktop GUI, which is the user interface, down to the color of the start button. Really? What year was that? Was that like the Apple II days? I mean, but for Microsoft, that must have been a long time ago. And I don't remember having to. I don't remember anything like that, but I haven't had a computer for all that long. There was a time in my life I did not have a computer. For the first 18 years, I didn't have a computer. I just didn't do that stuff. But then I got one, and then I just did that stuff. So, and here I am. And I like my computer. It's got the 2 monitors. I got a 4090. Yeah, 4090. Yeah. It's a pretty powerful computer. Do I need it? No, absolutely not. But when it runs Cyberpunk beautifully, and didn't need it though. Did not need it.
And go about that business.
Did not need
Every
it.
one of these people are coming in and running around and saying,
John
well,
McAfee was
UA
a
could
fucking,
not have
he was a
succeeded
badass,
but for
wasn't
my
he? He was a
patent,
badass.
which is utter bullshit.
Obedient says McAfee ain't dead. I don't believe it. I don't know. There's a lot of people that wanted him dead, and not. I mean, like he killed people. He killed people, and like people wanted him dead and stuff, and like but he might be alive. They said he died in a Spanish prison, which is like awesome, but. Maybe you're alive. Maybe you're alive. John, if you're out there, send me something to let me know that you're still out there so I don't have to worry about you. Good luck, buddy. me and John go back.
Right? None of our
not to any sort of memory. He doesn't know who I am, but we go back.
Developers or software developers had, ever referenced any of these patents, for example, on the online shopping cart, when they coded for that functionality. Every website that in America that's an e-commerce website.
Turd Flinging Monkey says he dead and he killed himself. He didn't kill himself. He did not kill himself. Funny, one of the last tweets that John McAfee put out was, under no circumstances should you take that shot. And we all know what shot he's talking about. That was like one of his last tweets before he But that's weird. Isn't that weird? But yeah, he was right on the money with that too. He knew stuff. He knew stuff that, like, state level secret, Mossad, CIA stuff. And he tried to tell people, and that's probably part of the reason why he is dead now. Whether he's truly dead or not, it doesn't really matter. But he found some stuff out, and he tried to expose it, and he got whacked for it. That's what I believe.
Has a shopping cart.
You know what I say in our company? Ideas are cheap. I have an idea every day,
What happened to his dead man switch? Well, he might not be dead. That's the thing. See, Epstein was a smart guy. He had blackmail on the most powerful people on the planet. For him not to have a dead man switch is just irrational. Of course he would have a dead man switch. Did it go off? No, because there's not a bunch of very famous people in prison or dead. So Epstein is clearly alive. He's obviously alive. There's no way
This
that
law
guy's
firm
dead.
that sued me had
If he is dead, he's just not dead. There's no way.
absolutely no value to add to my business. They were only trying to extract money in exchange for agreeing not to sue me, which I call extortion.
Yeah, McAfee had a dead man switch. I know, that's what I'm saying. McAfee had a dead man switch, and it didn't go off. So what happened to it? He might not be dead. I mean, right? If you have a dead man switch, and we're pretty sure McAfee had a dead man switch. He had lots of information. He worked in cybersecurity when nobody worked in cybersecurity. So he had access to files that were just, probably insane. So he had a dead man switch. And he wasn't a retard. He knew how to work it and stuff like that. And if he would die, within 2 weeks or a month or something like that, it would release and then it would spread. But that didn't happen. So either somebody got the information for the switch and deactivated it, or John McAfee is still alive. I would say the most likely thing is that John McAfee is still alive, even though he's very old. He's a pretty old guy. But he's all piss and vinegar, right? So, he could still be alive. He didn't get the shot or anything like that, and told everybody else, do not get that shot, right? Under no circumstances should you get that shot. So my guess is he's probably still alive. Where? I don't want to guess. I don't want to guess and it be right, and then I get John McAfee killed. I would feel terrible.
Pay money to not be sued? Well, so what if we do get sued? This'll never stand up in court. Of course, we do have to pay our...
O'Neill says Epstein wasn't independent. He was just a servant, a small fish. He was not a small fish by any stretch of the imagination. Was he independent? No. No, he had a boss, and that might have been the Rothschilds or Mossad or something like that. I think he was probably in Mossad. If not when he died, at least earlier in his career. But yeah, he was a servant of sorts, but he was definitely higher level. He wasn't a small fish.
Our defense fees.
There are hard costs that are already tremendous and tragic and ridiculous. They count on the fact that most companies can't manage their legal defense, and they have to basically end up paying far, far more than what the plaintiffs are asking for. And so those plaintiffs will very cleverly, they'll price below the cost of defense.
A patent suit generally costs $1 to $2 million to defend through to judgment.
So in 2011, when I gave my TED Talk, they were estimating that the cost of defending a patent troll lawsuit was about...
$2 million? So, okay, you hire a lawyer to defend you against a patent lawsuit, and then that lawyer already won $2 million, right? $2 million. And he's gonna like read a letter and then charge you for that, right? It's wild what lawyers charge for. Right? They'll charge you for literally anything. As long as it's time spent towards your case in any rough estimation, you're going to get charged. If they have lunch in a certain place that they would not be having lunch that day because it was in somehow relation to your case, they're charging you for it, right? They will charge you for everything. And an extraordinary amount of money. Obviously, lawyers are expensive. They're like $1,000 an hour or something like that. But, yeah. God, lawyers are just terrible. It's a terrible industry, and I don't know if you have to be corrupt to become a lawyer, or the only way you make it as a lawyer is to be deeply corrupt. But, like, damn. I don't know how you live with yourself.
$1.5 million.
The legal expense of defending yourself against a patent trolling lawsuit can be in the millions of dollars. And a lot of times the patent trolls are picking on small companies that they know cannot afford to go through the whole legal process.
We probably spent about $3 to $4 million.
So far, I would estimate that the legal fees have been in the millions.
Terrifying Monkey says, I found one that got me out of contempt of court for $300. That's cool, but that probably only took him 10 minutes, right? So you paid him $300 for 10 minutes. Well, that's good. I'm glad you got out of contempt. What'd you do? Did you, like, beat up the judge? No, they would give you more than that. Did you call the judge a queer or something? I don't know. What did you do to get into contempt of court? Were you late? Sometimes they do it for that. You got to be a psychopath to be a lawyer? Yeah.
And I think we're talking about several million more before it's all said and done.
My small company couldn't afford that, and they knew that.
It would be $500,000 or up to defend against a patent infringement lawsuit.
And how much money did you make in the year leading up to the patent infringement lawsuit?
We made about $30,000 profit in 2013.
Nice.
Every case that's been brought against us so far has been by MPEs where there was no product for us to buy or no service out there in the market that we could have bought. We should fight, and we do.
Turd says, I failed a drug test after a DUI. They have random drug tests. That sucks. That sucks. Yeah, damn. And then you got in contempt, and you didn't get a violation of I guess, okay. Well, cool. You got it out of that.
With what we have, but we don't have that much.
For me, hundreds of thousands of dollars is a lot of money. It was more money than we spent on the entire app.
So what'd you do?
We scraped together a little bit of money that we could get a hold of. We emptied our 401k. We paid our attorney enough to get the job started.
The lawyers, the first question they ask you is, how much money do you have? And since I didn't have anywhere near $1 million to $3 million in the bank, I was laughed off the phone. And some of them were extremely rude.
When we got
Yeah.
the lawsuit, we knew
I
we
bet
immediately had to
they
make
are.
some very hard decisions. So I actually held a meeting, and I told all of my employees, I said, everybody's getting laid off. I'm going to move the office back to my basement, and I'm going to try to do everything myself. And I figured by the end of the year, we might be out of business.
I had planned to hire another couple employees that year, and I wasn't able to do it.
You know, I laid off 7 people, most of whom were engineers.
I lost employees. I had to get rid of them so I could finance the litigation.
You have to learn a lot about the legal system, so I can't tell you how much time I've wasted on this. Time I could have been focused on my own products.
Last month, I probably could have hired 20 people, except for what we're spending on.
Kind of looks like Elijah Wood from Lord of the Rings. A little bit, vaguely.
Patent litigation, and
Instead of spending 18 hours a day running my business like I normally do, I had to instead spend that trying to figure out how to fight this lawsuit. It took up 100%.
Onias says, imagine if YouTubers actually reported on patent trolls. That shit would be over in a few months, but they're too busy crying about Star Wars movies. And people watch them cry about Star Wars movies, right? We all know the new Star Wars movie is going to be some woke garbage with some Mary Sue that doesn't even like train with Yoda, and then she's going to have like the most force out of all of them just because she's a effing girl. So what? Cry about it. Cry more. Cry into your Funko Pops. No one gives a shit. I mean, apparently a large enough audience does give a shit, but nobody with any sort of confidence in themselves whatsoever gives a shit what Star Wars does. I used to like Star Wars when I was a kid, and I would watch the first 3 movies all the motherfucking time. All the time. But when they came out with like the first 3, 1, 2, and 3 and stuff, I saw them and they were not great. They were just not great. They were boring. And I lost interest immediately. And you know what I did? I never, ever, ever, ever looked back. I did not care 1 iota. Not even a little bit. But some people make their entire, people, 35-year-old men, 40-year-old men are walking around with balding heads with guts and their Star Wars t-shirts and stuff like that. I'm like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? That's like your thing? And like you share your girlfriend with another dude? Ew. Ew, dude. Ew. Ew. I don't know. That's just people these days. I have to say ew a lot.
Percent of my time for the better part of a year.
I probably spent 60 or 70 hours a week doing litigation.
Obedient says, I got a lot of Star Wars collectibles. I feel gay for now. It's okay. I bought my brother-in-law like a really nice replica lightsaber for Christmas the other year, and he loves it. And I spent probably too much money on it, but I wanted to see it, and I wanted to play with it myself, and I did, and it was pretty cool. It was just pretty cool. But to make that your whole identity, it's just like, ugh. You can't, fanboy, go ahead, but have some sort of, have a you, have like a you thing, right? I got the black shirts. That's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me going. I don't need Star Wars, poopy Star Wars, where they come out with a bad film and then it like ruins my month because, this Star Wars movie, this fictional movie upset me so badly that I have to tell people about it, especially on the internet. Right? No, I don't need to do that. I don't give a shit. You'll never see me doing that. Really, honestly, have you ever seen me like visibly upset about any sort of media that's been put out that I'm like, oh, that's completely not canon? No, because I don't give a shit about that. I have other things. I have 2 fucking kids. You know, I'm not going to, I don't even have the time to watch movies most of the time. And that sucks. It really does. I mean, I watch The Fixies, which is a kid's cartoon, because my son insists on using the TV. And so I can't use the TV. And so what do? I just don't use the TV.
Activities in those first couple months. What I should have been doing was finding new.
John gets mad when his audio doesn't work. Yeah. Well, wouldn't you, Ardenshire? Wouldn't you, bro? Like, wouldn't you? My thing is not tech, right? This stuff, all of this stuff, this was an effort. This was an effort by me, and it wasn't overnight. And this took a long time. Do you guys remember my original mic stand? Do you remember how squeaky that bitch was? Now look at this. Now look at that. Fantastic. This mic. Sure, MV7. It's not the greatest mic, but it's a lot better than the tin can I had before, right? That thing right there, that monitor, that light, this thing right here. This isn't a screen. You think this is a screen? It's a blanket. It's just a, hold on. Ah. See? You guys, this is the magic of the internet and movie making and stuff. You guys thought she was really behind me, but in fact, it was not the case. I've been fooling you retards this whole time, and you've just been gobbling it up. What am I supposed to? Gobbling it up. You fools. You simple, retarded fools. No wonder I'm going to poison you with Kool-Aid. It's too simple for me.
Customers and growing our business and signing up new
It's far too simple.
manufacturers to our site.
The business ground to a halt.
The invisible Sulk. Thank you, Chewy.
Financially, as well as my
it's not a
mental
screen.
Resources and my time
It's not.
were focused on what were we going to do next? How were we going to survive?
We had to stop growing, basically, in order to do it.
Scott's like, what sorcery is this? Everyone's just bewildered that I'm not actually in the room with them right now, right? I'm not with you guys. I'm not, like, I can't reach out of the screen and, like, touch you and stuff. I'm not even in the same state as most of you. I know, it's magic. It's pure magic.
Everything on the business side was
purely magic.
Not only am I trying to run a business, I'm trying to run a business plus
Sulk had a cloak of invisibility. Nerd. I mean, if I could have one thing, it would be the pervert cloak from Harry Potter, right? That's what I'm going to call it, the pervert cloak. Because it's not like you're not doing weird shit with a cloak of invisibility. Why do you need a cloak of invisibility unless you're doing things that you don't want people to see? The pervert cloak. Right? This is my key to the girls' bathroom. Ha ha. Right? Those MTFs, they would love that, right? They have to put on makeup and stuff and like grow their hair out and like try to, wear heels to get into that. No, I have the fucking cloak. I have the fucking cloak, right? And I'm in there, right? I'm just a part of the bathroom. Ah. That's what I do. I'm sweating out there. Yeah, see, I'm just a toilet bowl. That's what I would be.
lawyers and
Don't judge me.
Looking up, doing research on the patent and the patent troll.
You see?
And
Magic
coming up with responses. So yeah, it did take a toll.
Is this AI? Says Scruff.
They want you
Yeah.
to make it so painful to
Yes.
fight them that you just give up and you pay them off.
And even my boys, they knew that, their dad was tied up with this, that
Okay,
my
put
mind
the
was
plaid
elsewhere.
shirt back
And we
on.
consider 2014 a whole year lost.
Overall, yeah, I would say it had an effect on my kids. They missed their dad for about 3 months.
My oldest son, who was 8 at the time, was listening in on all our conversations about strategy. And at one point, he tried to help, and he says, "Daddy, I know what you need to do with this guy." And I go, "What?" He goes, "You should kill him."
You should kill that motherfucker.
trolls don't just
Dude, you're raising a good son, right? That's a cold-blooded 8-year-old. He's like, "Dad, you know what you should do to this motherfucker? You should fucking just end him, right? Just bottle that bitch and then leave him for the Gators, right?" And just like, son, you're like 8 years old. What are you watching? What are you watching on that iPad that I give you and do not whatsoever monitor? What are you watching? Right? Are you watching Dexter on that thing? Because an 8-year-old shouldn't be like, okay, we can kill him and I know how. If my son said that, I'd be like, look here, boy. You don't listen to the things I talk about, right? You don't listen and tell people the things I talk about. And he's like, yes, I do. I tell all the people.
People's businesses.
Turn
They
the color
ruin
up.
their lives and their
Why are you guys
families.
so obsessed?
And
why are you guys so obsessed with this shirt? What is it about this shirt that does this for you? Is it just because it's not the Sulk traditional dress, right? Where it's tradition. I wear the black shirt, and then I do the Sulk dance, and then everybody drinks, right? My wife just bought this for me. It's nice, right? You guys don't like it? Too bad. Too bad. Too bad you don't like it. Because I like it. And it's warm, and it's well made, and it's comfy. Just like the Sulk string. So thank you so much for coming by. I hope you guys learned something. Don't invent things unless you want to be sued for patent infringement. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Oh, and your lives are hopeless, and you will never make anything of yourselves. I'm sure you didn't learn that tonight. I'm sure that was beaten into you into the school system back in the day. But I'm here to reiterate. Anyways, thank you so much for coming. I hope you guys have a fantastic, wonderful evening where you do the things that make you happy. I don't know. Whatever you want to do. It's your life. I don't give a shit. Hit the like button on your way out. I don't know. Tickle the algo. Leave a comment. Share it. Right? Do something to help the cult, for God's sakes. For once in your lives. For once in your miserable lives. Obedient, use Linux. Or Boston, use Linux to do something. I don't know. That seems like magic to me. So I'm not going to ask questions about it. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for coming. Have a fantastic night. Catch me here tomorrow at 8 p.m. and then also at 10 a.m. on Daywave. And I'll see you guys there. Anyways, I love you. I think you're handsome, and I think you're beautiful, and I think you guys make the world a better place with you in it. So drink a lot of water, get a good night's sleep, and take care of yourselves because I care about you too. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
I'm an incredible soul, unhinged and enraged like a bulldog's fierce growl. I'm spitting fire, burning through these trees, questioning the world, unraveling conspiracies. Talking about Bigfoot, but that's monster too. Government lies, they're feeding me their goo. I'm diving deep into this rabbit hole, uncovering the truth, setting fire to their every word I spoke.